The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Welcome to Football FanBox, the show that celebrates everything that is football in Las Vegas. Now, before we get into the show, I would like to take this time to say congratulations to my Philadelphia Eagles, who went out and took care of business against the mighty Rams. Good job, Eagles. People all over the city and all over the world are celebrating your victory, but don't get overconfident. Handle your business against the Texans and then the Redskins, and we'll all be right there celebrating when we're in the playoffs. We just need the Vikings to lose one game, and we are in. Now, for the rundown of the show, we have a great one for you this week. We have Bill and I debating topics on football and college football. We have the stadium updates with our man Tommy, and we also have fantasy football with Bill, Sean, and myself as we get ready for the playoffs. Now, let's get into the show with topics of the day where Bill and I debate everything. Let's get started. Welcome back. Now, what you're getting ready to see is us have a serious debates on topics that we feel need to be discussed, and we want your opinions on them. We're going to be talking about UCF, how they got robbed. We're going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys, how they rob people. And we're talking about Notre Dame and everything that, all the reasons they shouldn't be in the playoffs.
Yeah, we're also going to talk about Big Ben's injury this past weekend. You know, was he hurt? Was he not hurt? Should he have been in there? Should he have been in there sooner? We're also going to give our picks for the NFC-AFC Championship. And we're also going to talk some college football playoffs. So stick around and see what we have to say.
We want your opinion on Facebook and on our website, so don't be shy. Welcome back. Bill and I are going to talk about a few subjects that we need your opinion on. Now, the first subject we're going to talk about is the piece of trash Cowboys. Coming off that game against Philadelphia, being that we're both Eagle fans, you pretty much know where we're headed in this situation. But feel free to chime in and give us your opinion on what you saw when you watched that game. For the first example, the fumble.
Opening kickoff. Are you kidding me? It was a clear fumble, clearly recovered by the Eagles. There's but 3 Eagles on top of that ball, no Cowboys in sight. Yet somehow, first of all, the officials missed the call, and that's another thing. I'm gonna. It's a topic we have later. I'm gonna throw that in right now because it fits perfect. I am sick and tired of these officials missing obvious calls.
There's no reason for missing that one.
Forcing coaches to use their challenges. You only get 2. You only get 2, and if you're wrong, or if they say you're wrong, you lose a timeout. It's absurd. It's absurd. It changed the whole dynamics of that game, not giving the Eagles that opening kickoff fumble.
Cowboy fans, as long as Jerry Jones is in that owner's box, there's 2 things. He's going to disassemble and assemble the team the way he wants, but also something that's in your favor, he's going to make phone calls from the booth. Because this is my conspiracy theory. Jerry Jones has a phone that's connected to the referees, and when he wants something his way, he gets it. So that's just my philosophy on the Cowboys. Another reason I don't like them.
You know, I almost believe it. A couple of years ago, I would say no, that Jerry Jones did not have the power that he once had. But I think the NFL is getting sick of Belichick. So I think that opened up the door for him to get back into that calling the shots category.
Oh, absolutely. And another piece of that conspiracy theory is this. How does Tony Romo, who has like 2 playoff games and 50 years of playing football, automatically gets the #1 job for CBS hosting the NFL? something that's another thing. Who's the tight end?
Oh, Jason Witten.
Jason Witten comes off.
Terrible.
Now, you go to our website and go to our Facebook, and you let us know what your opinion is on that. Because there's no way they both get premier jobs when they haven't done anything relevant in the playoffs. Now, that's just our philosophy. We want to hear what you have to say about that. Our next topic is the official challenges.
Right. We already talked about that. You know, it's absurd. These officials are missing obvious calls, Johnny. Obvious calls, which is forcing these coaches to waste challenges early in games, losing timeouts, and I said you only get 2 challenges. All right, and sometimes they're critical. I think sometimes these coaches have to, say, is it really worth wasting a challenge this early in a game for 5 yards? That's another topic we can discuss, is the stupidity of coaches. But hey, refs, you got to do a better job. Call it the way you see it, and then let the coaches challenge it.
And that's all we're saying. Now, I interviewed some referees earlier in this year for the local football leagues that we have in Las Vegas. They do a great job. And the number one problem that they have is the, parents being a little gruff, calling out names and getting a little outside of themselves. But with the fans, talking to the officials for the NFL, you have instant replay. So there's no reason for you to miss that call when you have instant replay. The officials out there, they have it without instant replay. So they have to go strictly on what they've seen in their memory. Right. So NFL, we got to do something to better the officiating in the NFL, please.
Well, when did they start this? Maybe 15, 20 years ago, where they got to go to, it's a year-round job, and and going over game tapes and things like that. But my problem is, it's not the instant replay. Yeah, they have the cameras, they have the camera angles, and even sometimes they get that wrong when they look at them. They're missing obvious calls that their eyes should see live on the field. All right, these are trained professionals getting paid, I'm guessing, a decent buck. I'm sure they're not millionaires,
right?
But I'm sure they're making a pretty damn good living being an NFL referee. Okay, get the calls right.
And that's all we ask. That's all we're asking.
That's all I got to say about that.
Now to the next subject, Ben Roethlisberger. Somebody's going to have to answer for this one. I'm sorry. This one is going to bother me for a while. For all you Ben Roethlisberger fantasy owners out there, my heart bleeds for you. For all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans, my heart bleeds for you. Go ahead, Pennsylvania. We're all family in that state. But Ben Roethlisberger sat out the entire third quarter, and he returned with 5 minutes left to go, with around 5 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, he's cleared to play by the doctors, but he wasn't cleared to play in the third quarter or prior to that 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Now, either the coach held him out, or he said he didn't want to play because they didn't want to disturb the momentum that they had with the other quarterback. Did you see momentum with the other quarterback?
I'm going to be honest with you, Johnny. I was watching the Red Zone channel.
Right.
And there was nothing going on in that game. So, it barely got any coverage, and didn't have any fantasy value to me. I really was not paying attention to it. So I got that secondhand information. But I have to believe there was no flow of the game going that you needed to worry about breaking up. But I'm going to give Ben the benefit of the doubt that he banged up his ribs, all right? And that's painful. That's painful. Maybe they thought that they can win that game without him when they realized they couldn't. Hey, we got to get Big Ben back in there and get the W. So, I'm giving Ben a break.
Okay.
I'm giving Ben a break.
I like that.
I think you might have lost some money on that game, and you got a little uptight about it.
I may or may not have. I don't want to say on television. But I'm not giving Ben a pass. That guy's been on that team since he was when he was 15 years old. It felt like he's been in the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger, if he wanted to get back in that game, he would have made a bigger fuss. Because every time they showed him on television, he had his hand on his couch going, yeah, I'm good, telling his friends, I'm ready to play. And yet he stayed on the sideline. So either that was a coaching decision or Big Ben's decision, because he was cleared coming out of the locker room to play.
Let me tell you
and
this.
They didn't put him in that
game. How
game.
about I kick you in the ribs as hard as I can and see if you still want to sit here and do this segment?
But then I would say my ribs are hurt, I can't go. And there's a doctor that's telling me I can or can't go. So if you kick me in the ribs, The doctor's going to say John can't
I'm
go.
going
Bill
to
hurt
kick
his
you in
ribs.
I am going to kick you in the ribs. Don't worry about that.
See
That's
that?
happening.
You see that?
That's happening.
Now, Mr. Ben, I'm blaming you because it should have been a better fight to get back in the game because they put their defense in a bind.
Yeah, you know
they told their defense, stop them. We're not going to do anything, but you stopped them from scoring. So for the whole third quarter and up 5 minutes until the fourth quarter, they told their defense, we're not trying to score. They are. We're just trying not to turn the ball over. Now, if we lose, it's because of you because you couldn't stop anybody. Like I said, go to our website, go to Facebook, and give us your opinion on these topics because I got to know what America's thinking.
Let me tell you another thing that's bothering me, Johnny, is Carolina Panthers. What is going on with Carolina? They're not even playing anybody good. They're losing to bad teams in the fourth quarter. All right, and I'm going to tell you why. And this is really getting me upset because of fantasy value of Christian McCaffrey, which I have in my personal league, which I'm now in the semifinals for. But I mean, they can't stop McCaffrey. For 3 quarters, not one team in the last month has stopped this guy. Yet, all of a sudden, the fourth quarter comes, we find ourselves behind by a score, and we got to go nuts and try to score 14 points on one pass. It's ridiculous. And they don't even use him. They don't even use him. A lot of times, they just need to get down in the field goal position to kick a field goal with plenty of time. McCaffrey will get you there all day long. But he barely gets any touches in the fourth quarter, and they've lost now, 5 in a row?
I want to say 5 or 6. I want to say maybe it's 5.
It's not 6, but 5.
They're approaching it.
5 in a row. Are you kidding me?
And that makes a difference.
And they haven't played anybody good. I mean, they're losing to bad teams.
They were a 6th seed in the playoffs. Now they're out. Minnesota, who's about to go on like a 5-game losing streak, is getting ready to get kicked out of that 6th seed.
Hey, Carolina. McCaffrey's your guy, all right? Your wide receivers stink. They're absolutely terrible. All right?
And if you get a chance, Mr. and Mrs. America, watch Cam Newton's last throws at that end zone. That was not even an effort. It was a horrible attempt on his part.
He's a quitter.
And it showed. Like, if you ever want to see if somebody quit or not, you watch that last drive by Carolina in that Cleveland game, and that will tell you everything you need to know about character. Like I said, go to our webpage and go to our Facebook and tell me what you think. Because maybe we're seeing it wrong. And if we are, say, John, you're blind and you're seeing everything wrong. But I want to hear what you have to say. Now, our next topic, based on what we've seen this year, who do you have going into the NFC Championship? Just based on what's going on right now.
The NFC Championship, believe it or not, I'm loving Chicago and New Orleans.
Ooh,
Chicago and New Orleans, the NFC Championship. Chicago's just playing fantastic
Lights
football
out
right now. I mean,
Lights
their defense is sick, and their offense is doing more than enough.
And I have to apologize again. Trubisky. I thought he was trash on 2 legs, and I still do it. I won't drink the Kool-Aid, Trubisky. I won't do it. I'm not sold on him. That defense is going to have to carry them.
He doesn't make mistakes, all right? And when you don't have the caliber of a Mahomes and a Brady and a Breeze and, these great quarterbacks, when you don't have that, you need a quarterback. I don't like the game. I don't like using that term, game management. I think that's crap.
I hear you.
But you need a quarterback who is going to make smart decisions and not lose games for you. And Trubisky's that guy.
I can go with that. I have to go with Chicago because I love their defense.
Yeah.
And God have mercy on anybody who has to go to Chicago and play in that cold weather because it's crazy. You do not want to be in Chicago playing football. When you get tackled in 70-degree weather or 90-degree weather, it feels good. The contact is there. When you get hurt in Chicago in December, January, it feels like they're taking aluminum bats to your body, hitting your hand, hitting your arm. You feel them, all those hits for like 3 weeks, even after the game's over. Getting hit in the cold is 20 times different than getting hit in warm weather, which is why I think the Rams may have problems if they have to leave sunny California. Now, who's your AFC picks?
My AFC picks, that one's a little tough there. I'd have to say Kansas City and The Chargers. I love the way the Chargers are playing. I really
Chargers
do.
are looking good.
I mean, they look like a real strong contender. Houston, I think, is smoke and mirrors. I think they're out first round. I don't see them going anywhere. The Colts are making some moves, but they're not going to go. But the Chargers, and I just can't go against Kansas City and Mahomes. It's
So you're going to be up Thursday night watching that game.
oh yeah, yeah. I've been looking forward to that game for a month now. When I saw that on the schedule, that's the game that's going to decide the AFC West.
Now, for me, I'm going to do it a shocker. This is a crazy pick. New England. I think New England will always find a way to get there, and I don't see anybody that's going to stop them.
Going out on a limb there, right?
Yeah, I take chances. I'm a guy who takes chances. I'll put ketchup on my steak, Mr. Mahomie. I understand. But the other team will be Kansas City. And the problem with that is Belichick's already seen them. If Belichick hadn't played Kansas City this year, is one thing, but once Belichick sees you,
no, you don't want to play Belichick twice.
He knows your speed. He knows how to attack you. He knows what you like, what you don't like. He'll know what you have for breakfast. Once he's seen you, it's different than him not seeing you in live and in person and in Technicolor. So New England, and I do have New England and Kansas City, and I have New England winning. Close game, but somehow New England finds a way to win.
All right.
Notre Dame. What do you think about Notre Dame being
we're going to talk some college now.
Yeah, let's go to college and see what they're talking about.
Notre Dame, I don't care what their record is. They don't play anybody. They don't belong in that college playoff. I'm sorry. Notre Dame fans, you've been waiting a long time to finally get a good team. And you have a good team. But, if you don't play in a conference and you don't play a conference championship, it's very hard for me to see you as a legit contender. Okay, Notre Dame, they do play some big teams out there. They play some good name teams, but they're not always on the top of the sport the years they play them. They had USC, Stanford. I mean, they're not top teams this year.
They play big name teams who aren't playing big-time football.
Exactly.
And they play them every single year. Like USC is not the USC that we all know. Like you said, Stanford is not the Stanford. And everybody as far as them playing in the ACC, they didn't play Clemson. And that bothers me dramatically. Now, if you're going to be a big dog, be a big dog. And don't give me that Michigan game either, because we saw what happened when Michigan played a college team called Ohio State. So that game shouldn't even count.
And that was the first game of the year, too. And, the thing about not playing in a conference, you don't play conference games. Conference games are different than every other game. These teams are getting up for a conference game every week. Every week. And it's your mediocre conference teams, they're getting up to play in Ohio State. They're getting up to play in Alabama. You're getting their best. Okay, not everybody is getting that from Notre Dame. They see Notre Dame on their schedule. Yeah, that's a good game. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to get some TV highlights, but teams aren't getting up because they have conference games to get up for. Conference games are what counts. You're only going to get a couple of teams are going to go undefeated for the year, and these other teams know that. But they can win their conference. They can get into their conference championship. So that's what gets them up for games. Playing Notre Dame in October is not getting anybody excited.
At all, which is a perfect segue to my next point. UCF, a team who went undefeated, played their conference championship, did everything they were supposed to, but all of a sudden they say, oops, nope, you're not one of the big boys. You're not in our high Sadiddy club. You don't play on the par 9 with us. You don't play on our stage, so you can't be in our club, which is horrible, which is probably why the ratings are down, because they're not taking the best 4 teams. If Notre Dame is in simply because they went undefeated, UCF should be in because they're undefeated. Anything else is dramatically criminal. It is absolutely criminal. You tell everybody, it's a tournament. But the last time I checked, when a team loses in the NCAA tournament, they're out. They don't get to play next week, and then a group of 15 or 20 people go in a room with closed doors. And we all know when people get behind closed doors, only legitimate things happen. So UCF, you got robbed, and it should be a letter to every governor trying to put those criminals in jail that's behind those closed doors. Because 4 teams went undefeated, 4 teams should be in the playoffs. Once you take it off the field, is a criminal act.
You know, I have mixed feelings about UCF. I would really like to see what they can do in a college playoff system against these big boys. I really would. You know, they may surprise people or they may shut people up. But they don't play anybody.
We just talked about Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame doesn't belong there.
And exactly, but they get to be in because they have the Notre Dame name.
Georgia should be in there. I don't care if they lost to Alabama in the conference championship.
But it's not that they lost to Alabama. They always lose to Alabama. It's like Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny. They don't always lose to Alabama.
They just beat Alabama last year.
One time out of like 50, but they keep getting chances to beat them. UFC, even when they go undefeated, they don't get that opportunity to play the big boys. Georgia's going to play them next year. They're going to lose next year. But UCF will never get the chance no matter what they do. They can go undefeated next year and they won't get in.
Well, you know, hey, why don't you see what you can do to get out of that stinking conference and play in a real conference?
Or they could probably come up with like a playoff system.
They could come up with a playoff system. And I mentioned this before. My pipe dream, unrealistic scenario is preseason. You rank the 40 top teams, John. All right. Now, is number 41 going to be upset that they're not in the top 40? Who cares? Because they got no shot. They got no shot anyway. But you're going to take what is perceived to be the 40 best teams in the country, break them down into 4 conferences. You get away from the Big Ten and the SEC. They're done. They don't exist anymore. It's a different conference every year. You take the top 40, break it down to 4 conferences. Okay, 10 teams in each conference. Each conference has a division of 5. The 2 division winners play for the conference championship. The 4 conference championships play in a playoff. All right, that gets your UCF in there.
If they do it, but now you're messing with rich people's money.
Yeah,
one thing we know in America,
that's what I said.
You do not mess with rich people's money. If you ever want to get your feelings hurt in the worst way, you mess with a rich person's money and see where you end up with all their connections and friends.
Pipe dream. But I mean, I think it would be exciting. And each year the conferences are different, the divisions are different because you're ranking these teams. I think it makes for an interesting scenario.
It's something we should try, but it's something that the money won't allow to happen.
No, it's never going to happen. I'm surprised they even went to a 14 playoff.
We're shocked about that. All right, this is Bill. I'm John. Back to the studio. I thought it was a great debate, but I need to hear what you're thinking. So if you have something to say, negative or positive, let us know. You can go to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, or go to our website at footballfanbox.tv and tell us everything you're thinking about sports. Now, we're going to go to the Raiders Stadium and get an update from our man Tommy. Tommy, tell me what's going on with that stadium update, young man. Give me some information.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy T for Football FanBox, coming to you live from the Raiders Stadium construction site here across from the Las Vegas Strip. You can see it behind me, the cranes, some of the walls going up. We got the hardcore crew working daily on Saturday to get this stadium ready for the 2020 NFL season. It's going to be great. But Johnny, nobody understands what John Gruden is doing. While they're building the stadium, Gruden's tearing down the team. What's this guy doing? He just got rid of another good player. This week they dumped Bruce Irvin, got picked up immediately by the Atlanta Falcons. He already got rid of Khalil Mack, the best defensive player in the NFL, for 2 first-round draft choices. Are you kidding? Then he trades Amari Cooper, their best receiver, to the Cowboys for another first-round draft choice. What the hell's Gruden doing? There's nobody left on that team. Man, if you're still on the roster, you bad. Okay, this is Tommy T for Football FanBox. Back to you, Johnny. What? No, I don't work here. Man, I ain't carrying.
Tommy, answer that lady's questions and don't give her any back talk. I can't have you going to jail. We already paid you for this whole season. Now, as long as Tommy's not in prison when we redo this next week, let's get into fantasy football with Bill, Sean, and myself as we debate who should start, who should sit, and what kind of moves you should be making to get into the final week of the playoffs in our Football FanBox citywide fantasy football competition. Let's get them, fellas.
Hello, Las Vegas, and welcome back to Football FanBox, King of Las Vegas Fantasy Football Contest Playoff Edition. That's right, guys. We are in the playoffs. We are down to 25 teams. And this week, we decided not to show you all of our best teams, but teams that we think can be a little sneaky and maybe snatch that grand prize. All right, so start us off. Sean, who's your pick as a sleeper to win this contest?
I'm thinking Team Got You has a sneaky chance.
All right.
Now it's a little bit more than sneaky when you look at the quarterback is Patrick Mahomes and running back Saquon Barkley. Obviously, his top two players there. Right there in and of itself, when you have two players that are playing at that high of a level right now, on any given week they can get you 40, 50 points, and right there, if those two happen, together at the same time,
they usually do happen together at the same time.
Yeah, it's been common enough. The rest of his roster is not necessarily screaming strong, although he's got Devontae Adams on there. Murray, kind of sneaky thing could happen. Also, I mean, if he becomes the go-to running back again, something happens.
He might get some goal line looks too. Left on his schedule, and I think he can put up some big numbers to go along with Mahomes and Barkley. Like you said, you got Mahomes and Barkley. Man, no wonder you're in the top 25.
Yeah, you made the 25 based on those two alone.
Exactly. So I think those three players are enough to possibly get you there.
Yeah.
Now, Mahomes might have a little bit of fear. I don't mean to step on your shoulders and walk around, but Patrick Mahomes has a little bit of fear in his chest because the last game that he played, who did they play this past week? The Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs? I don't remember, man.
Well, anyway, the game that Hill had, he came up limp on that last play, and it was a beautiful play by him and Mahomes. But I don't think he's going to be 100% for that next game, and San Diego's defense will be coming for you, Mr. Hill. And they've seen the tapes. They're going to have two men on you, and Mr. Holmes is a stud. I can't lie. Mahomes is a stud, but without Hill being 100%, it's a different offense to me. And he already lost both of his running backs because the other one got hurt in the middle of that game.
So you seem to forget about Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins. They do have other players other than Tyreek Hill.
They do, but they aren't game changers.
Mahomes is game changers, guys. Okay, don't listen to this guy.
I'm trying to educate the planet.
That's why he's not in the top 25.
Mahomes is the game changer.
He can throw all the no-look passes that he wants, and it was beautiful, by the way. That was absolutely beautiful, a work of art. But that team's in trouble. All these injuries, eventually it's going to catch up with you. And the last 2 weeks is not a good time, although I would start him after saying all that. I'm sorry, but that's just like a warning sign, Mr. Will Robinson.
You don't take Mahomes out of the lineup. All right, so Johnny, after that insightful take on Patrick Mahomes, what's your sleeper
I'm
pick?
interested to hear this now.
Yeah, this should be good.
Get ready for pure genius, Mr. and Mrs. America. Team Scooby-Doo 2. You got something nice to look forward to. Aaron Rodgers is playing well, even though he has to go to Chicago. I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Matt Ryan. Stinks. That team he has, I expect so much more from him. And Mr. McCaffrey, I would ride him till the wheels fall off because that team has nothing else but him. He is everything to that team, so you ride him. Jarvis Landry.
He's a playmaker.
Flat out stud. Yes. He's a playmaker. Jarvis Landry, I would start him in baseball season. He's a pure stud. And Ertz is Ertz. So, Mr. Scooby-Doo 2, I'm rooting for you, young man. I'm rooting for you because that team is ready to go.
I'll tell you what, Aaron Rodgers does not have a good matchup coming up against Chicago, but Matt Ryan does against Arizona.
Right.
Yeah, Matt Ryan does not stink. The team is struggling, but if you look at his fantasy points, he's put up a couple stinkers, but overall, he's a solid 25-point quarterback or better. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that every time. But Aaron Rodgers has a great matchup the championship week against the Jets.
Yeah. Right.
So that's a good team. And like you got McCaffrey, you're good to go.
You're locked in.
And you got Zach Ertz. McCaffrey and Ertz is enough to throw you over the top. So, Sean, what do you think about this team?
Yeah, I was thinking the same with you as far as Matt Ryan. You need to hopefully I'm assuming that this team will go with Matt Ryan the first week. I think you have to do that. And then you have the luxury of choosing, if Matt Ryan looks solid, you could still play him at Carolina.
Yeah, he's got two good matchups there.
So then he has a nice choice there. But yes, Aaron Jones in a flex spot there, that's pretty solid too.
That's
so I
not
think
bad. That's not bad. I like James White too. I think James White can get you some good PPR points and possibly get into the end zone once or twice.
It's a Belichick team.
A little bit with Burkhead coming back.
Yeah, if they decide not to give it to that Devin kid. I mean, he's got 3 carries, 3 touchdowns for the season. Stop stealing fantasy points, Belichick. All right,
That's what he does, man.
We don't like it.
Belichick doesn't like fantasy football players. Now, Mr. Ryan, just to get back on that subject, I don't trust Matty Ice, man. The team he has should be so much more potent than what we've seen, especially these last couple of weeks. I don't trust Matt Ice.
All right, you're not trusting Matty Ice to win football games. I'm trusting him to win fantasy football games.
I see where you're going.
How many times do I got to say this? It's all about the points.
The points are there.
He can throw 2 picks and fumble one time and still throw 4 touchdowns and score 28 points.
That's my problem. He'll throw 2 interceptions and say
care.
thank you, and they'll hand the ball off to a running back.
If he gives me 25 to 30 points, I'm okay.
Don't care how
You're
he gets
okay.
there.
You're okay with that too?
I don't care how he gets there.
Next week, it will be just me, and I will do the show by myself. Let's get to your people.
And you'll hear the crickets in the background.
But,
all right.
But not a bad pick for Team Scooby.
No,
I got to agree.
Team Scooby, too. You got a good team there, and
Yeah.
I like your chances. You have some really good players there. My pick is Philly. Yeah. Being an Eagles fan,
You picked him just because of the name.
Did not pick them just because of the name. It's close to my team name, Philly Special, who did not make it through. Yeah. Guys, I got to tell you how bad this was. By the last game of the season, I had just enough players to fill a roster where I had to put Rex stinking Burkhead into my flex spot. That's how bad it was.
And thankfully, he came back just in time.
Literally, and just enough players to fill a roster. I had 9 injuries on my bench. With two healthy quarterbacks, but I can only play 1.
Now, for those who didn't see the Philadelphia-Dallas game, I'm going to reenact what happened. Kick the ball off, they fumble, Eagles clearly recover. Jerry Jones, that wasn't a fumble. Give it back to the Cowboys. The call comes on the field, no fumble, give it back to the Cowboys. Touchdown pass. It was an offensive pass interference. The call comes down, Jerry Jones calls from the booth. Well, all of a sudden, offensive pass interference. You can't tell me there's not a phone in that executive office for the Cowboys. I'm sorry, I'm a Cowboys fan. An Eagle fan. I had to bring that up. Back to you.
Thanks.
Where do we go wrong on that one?
All right, back to Philly.
Because that bothers me.
This team has some really exciting players. You got Phillip Rivers playing against Kansas City. I think that's just going to be a shootout on Thursday night. He could put up 4 touchdowns in that game. Easy. But he does follow it up championship week against Baltimore. However, you got Deshaun Watson playing against Philly. Philly can't stop anybody. I love you, Eagles. I love you. You can't stop nobody, especially in the secondary. So I love Deshaun Watson in that game. Alvin Kamara, a couple down games, but you're Alvin Kamara. You got Carolina and Pittsburgh.
Stud.
You're shooting for that home field advantage. I'd like you to pick it up. Amari Cooper, man. We made fun of that a couple of weeks ago, man, but how wrong were we?
Hey,
He is a fantasy football stud right now.
I thought that pick or what they offered in that trade was way too much.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
You got T.Y. Hilton, who's playing at a very high level. He's not even getting into the end zone that much and still putting up 30 fantasy points. So you got to love that.
Yeah.
Tight end Hayden Hurst. I'm assuming you had some injuries in the tight end. That's okay. With this lineup, you even got Sammy Watkins who can throw up some decent numbers.
Yeah.
Philly, you got a really strong chance of knocking off some of these contender teams out there that have ruled the whole season.
Yeah.
But I like this team here. That's out of the three we just mentioned. This is the team that I think really has a shot to win it all.
And I have to take this time to make an apology to Mr. Amari Cooper. I say you weren't worth the 3rd round pick. I apologize. I was wrong. You've been balling ever since the Cowboys got you. You've been putting in work, and I have to admit I was wrong, and I'm sorry. But being that you're a Cowboy, you still stink.
I concur. And that's how we say it.
But you do what you want.
All right. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Welcome back. And to all you fantasy football players out there, good luck. All the money will be given out on February 25th, but also we have a surprise for you. On February 25th, to all the people who made it in the top 10, along with your paychecks, and congratulations on that, we will be giving out Football FanBox wristbands so that you don't have to tell people that you won it. They'll know when they see your wristband that you're a top 10 finisher in the citywide fantasy football contest. Now, for next season, be ready, because next year is going to be off the charts. Off the charts. So be ready. We're going to have interviews with the kids and their parents after the games. We'll have press conferences. Something I'm also proud to say is fantasy football prize money is going to jump up dramatically. So get ready. It's going to be $100. So save up. When you get your income tax money, put $100 aside, save something for yourself, and get into the contest. Now, we also are going to have the best athletic trainers in the city on our show every week, teaching kids how to get ready for football season, how to stay in shape during football season, and also the best ways to stretch and properly maintain your physical self throughout the whole year. So make sure you're watching our show. Come out here and watch it, and they'll show you everything you need to know. Also, we'll be on location all throughout the city, telling people, asking people what their picks are going to be for the NFL picks against the spread, money line. We want to hear what you have to say in terms of making money, because I'm tired of living in my mother's basement. She's nice, she's friendly, but she don't let me have friends over, so I need my own place. And also, police and veterans this upcoming year will be receiving footballs, and as our way of saying thank you for serving a city. So every game, we'll have a game of the every week we'll have a game of the week, and from there we'll have the kids sign a football as our way of saying thank you to the veterans and the police who protect us all year long. Make sure you join in next year to see that. It's a beautiful thing, and it's our way of saying thank you. And in the Super Bowl next year, we'll also have little games, rides, carnivals. It's going to be off the charts. We're going to call it the Day of Honor in Las Vegas, our way of saying thank you. So remember, stay safe, tune in next season, and remember, footballfanbox.tv. Now remember, be sure to subscribe. Footballfanbox.tv. Go to Football FanBox on your YouTube page and subscribe. We can't wait to get your thoughts and hear everything you have to say and share with us. Also, we'll have a little something on Game of Thrones next week to tell you how it all ends. We had a bunch of people writing letters and sending stuff in on what's going to happen. So we'll give you our philosophy and our theories on what's going to happen. See you next year.